It's how do we find meaning in life if the AI could do your job better than you can?
Elon Musk recently shared his thoughts on artificial intelligence and the future of jobs, and he has revealed that we're all going to lose our jobs very soon.
It's very difficult to predict what will happen in that circumstance. It's called the singularity. It's a singularity like a black hole, because you don't know what happens after that. It's hard to predict. So I think we should be cautious with AI, and I think there should be some government oversight because it affects it's a danger to the public. And so when you have things that are a danger to the public, like let's say, so food and drugs. That's why we have the Food and Drug Administration,
Right.
And the Federal Aviation Administration, the FCC. We have these agencies to oversee things that affect the public, where there could be public harm.
Speaking remotely at VivaTech 2024 in Paris, Musk predicted that AI would render most jobs unnecessary. Probably none of us will have a job, he said, describing a world where work becomes optional. If you want to do a job that's kind of like a hobby, you can do a job, Musk explained. But otherwise, AI and the robots will provide any goods and services that you want. For this to work, Musk added, we would need universal high income, though he didn't elaborate on how that would differ from universal basic income, UBI, which is a fixed government payment to everyone regardless of earnings. He assured that there would be no shortage of goods or services in this AI-driven world. However, this rapid advancement in AI has sparked debates about the future of work and how industries will adapt.
I've actually for a long time been a strong advocate of AI regulation. So that I think regulation is, it's not fun to be regulated. It's somewhat arduous to be regulated. I have a lot of experience with regulated industries because obviously automotive is highly regulated. You could fill this room with all the regulations that are required for a production car just in the United States, and then there's a whole different set of regulations in Europe and China and the rest of the world.
While some fear that AI will take over a vast number of jobs, a report from MIT's Computer Science and Artificial Intelligence Lab in January found that AI adoption in workplaces is happening more slowly than expected. The study also highlighted that many jobs once thought to be at risk of automation are not yet economically viable to replace. Interestingly, jobs that require high emotional intelligence, such as those in mental health, education, and creative fields, are less likely to be replaced by AI, according to experts. Musk, a known advocate for responsible AI development, reiterated his concerns during the VivaTech conference, calling AI his biggest fear. He referenced the Culture book series by Ian Banks, a fictional utopia run by advanced AI, as the best representation of a possible AI future. But he also raised an important question about human purpose in a world where machines do most of the work. If the computer and robots can do everything better than you, does your life have meaning? Musk suggested that humans might still play a role by giving AI meaning. On a different note, Musk advised parents to limit their children's social media use, warning that they are being programmed by a dopamine-maximizing AI. He has also brought up how dangerous it could potentially be.
The danger, really, AI is perhaps more dangerous than, say, mismanaged aircraft design or production maintenance or bad car production, in the sense that it has the potential, however small one may regard that probability, but it is non-trivial. It has the potential of civilizational destruction. There's movies like Terminator, but it wouldn't quite happen like Terminator because the intelligence would be in the data centers.
Right.
The robot's just the end effector. But I think perhaps what you may be alluding to here is that regulations are really only put into effect after something terrible has happened.
Discussions about AI have been ongoing since OpenAI launched ChatGPT, which can do everything from writing poetry to generating code. While this excites some, it also raises concerns. Musk, who has been vocal about his skepticism, has criticized ChatGPT on multiple occasions, calling it too woke and expressing concern over some of its capabilities. Earlier this year, Musk, alongside other tech experts, signed a letter urging a 6-month pause in AI development. In one post on X, Musk extended his warning to Google's AI chatbot, Gemini, formerly known as Bard. Musk responded to a post by Canadian professor Get Saad, who criticized the idea that truth is subjective, a concept often associated with postmodernism. Musk chimed in, warning, "Now imagine if this is programmed, explicitly or implicitly, into super powerful AI. It could end civilization. Now, no need to imagine. It is already programmed into Google Gemini and OpenAI ChatGPT." Despite his concerns, Musk has long been involved in AI development. He co-founded OpenAI in 2015 but left in 2018, reportedly due to a conflict of interest with his other AI-focused companies. However, OpenAI later revealed that Musk had sought full control of the company, even suggesting a merger with Tesla.
OpenAI, I mean, you seem somewhat frustrated with them. You were one of the big contributors early on.
The reason I am the reason OpenAI exists.
How much money did you give them?
I'm not sure the exact number, but it's some number on the order of $50 million. Man, fate loves irony, next level. So I used to be close friends with Larry Page, and I would stay at his house, and we'd have these conversations long into the evening about AI, and I would be constantly urging him to be careful about the danger of AI, and he was really not concerned about the danger of AI and was quite cavalier about it, and at the time, Google, especially after their acquisition of DeepMind, had 3/4 of the world's AI talent. They had obviously a lot of computers and a lot of money, so it was a unipolar world for AI. And we've got a unipolar world, but the person who controls that does not, or at least did not seem to be concerned about AI safety. That sounded like a real problem. So, and then the final straw was Larry calling me a speciesist for being pro-human consciousness instead of machine consciousness. And I'm like, well, yes, I guess I am. I am a speciesist,
So you helped to the creation of OpenAI. You put in as much as $50 million.
More than helped. It wouldn't exist without me.
It wouldn't exist without you. So
I came up with a name.
Last December, Musk introduced his own AI chatbot, Grok AI, which is available to X Premium users. Grok AI, described as having a sense of humor and a rebellious streak, was designed to answer questions with wit. The XAI team behind Grok AI cautioned, those who lack a sense of humor shouldn't use Grok AI, adding that the chatbot is inspired by The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy and aims to answer almost any question with a playful twist. Throughout history, the world's wealthiest individuals, typically men, have often operated discreetly, challenging governments quietly behind the scenes. But Elon Musk, currently the richest person in the world, has taken a very different approach. In recent months, Musk has engaged in public disputes with various governments, most of which are left-leaning or liberal, over his claims that they are restricting free speech. Many of these clashes have occurred as governments try to regulate social media, a space where Musk has a direct business interest as the owner of X, formerly Twitter. From Brazil to Australia, France to the UK, Musk's confrontations have been wide-ranging. For instance, in August, Brazil's government banned X after Musk refused to comply with a court order to appoint a legal representative in the country. The court also directed X to block several far-right accounts, a demand Musk rejected, leading to a public clash with Supreme Court Justice Alexandre de Moraes. But de Moraes didn't back down. In addition to the ban, he imposed over $3 million in fines on X, and the court froze the Brazilian bank accounts of Starlink, Musk's satellite communications company. As a result, the Brazilian government transferred $1.3 million from X's local bank account and $2 million from Starlink's account to settle the fines. Musk initially attempted to bypass the ban. Last week, X briefly became accessible again in Brazil after the platform altered how its servers were accessed. However, de Moraes threatened the company with daily fines for violating the ban, and X soon went offline again.
We start with Elon Musk and the social media platform he controls, X, which formerly was known as Twitter. It's facing the loss of one of its largest markets over a row about hate and speech and disinformation. Brazil's telecom regulator has now suspended access to X for the country's 200+ million people. It did that over the weekend after a ruling by a senior judge. And there will be a vote later today by a panel of Brazil's Supreme Court on whether to uphold that ruling. It's the most serious crisis yet for the platform.
Eventually, Musk appeared to concede, at least for the time being. Last week, X's legal team informed the Brazilian Supreme Court that the company would comply with the court order by appointing a legal representative and blocking the accounts accused of spreading hate speech and disinformation. This move is likely intended to get X operational again in Brazil, which is the platform's third largest market with 21 million users. Across the Pacific from Brazil, Elon Musk recently criticized the Australian government, calling them fascists in a post on X. This came after the center-left Labour Party announced new legislation that would fine media platforms 5% of their global revenue for spreading information deemed reasonably verifiable as false, misleading, or deceptive, and likely to cause serious harm. Misinformation and disinformation pose a serious threat to the safety and well-being of Australians, as well as to our democracy, society, and economy. Doing nothing and allowing this problem to fester is not an option, said Communications Minister Michelle Rowland. Musk once again framed his opposition as a defense of free speech, arguing that the law undermines this principle.
Controversy's favorite son, Elon Musk, is at it again. This time, the target of his rage is the Australian government. In a one-word tweet, the tech billionaire called Australia fascist. Musk is furious over Canberra's new laws that crack down on misinformation on social media. The Australian government officials hit back at Musk, calling him a crackpot.
In the proposed bill, Australia gives the country's communications watchdog greater power to monitor and regulate content. If social media companies don't self-regulate, the watchdog can enforce an industry code of conduct or create its own standards.
The bill positions Australia to be at the forefront of tackling this growing international problem, one which threatens to undermine our civic discourse and democratic engagement and participation. This bill ensures that digital platforms are accountable for combating mis- and disinformation on their services.
Musk's fiery one-word retort came after a post about the measures went viral. Fascists, he tweeted. This triggered an immediate response from Australian officials. Federal Minister Bill Shorten accused Musk of flip-flopping on free speech, pointing out how the tech mogul had more positions on free speech than the Kama Sutra.
He wasn't the only one with concerns. David Coleman, the Shadow Minister for Communications, criticized the bill, saying, "In this bill, if you're an academic, something you say basically can't be misinformation. But if you're an ordinary Australian who disagrees with an academic, it can be misinformation." The Australian government, however, fired back at Musk, accusing him of inconsistency on free speech. Critics pointed out that Musk has complied with requests from right-wing and authoritarian governments to crack down on various accounts. Government Services Minister Bill Shorten took a jab at Musk, saying, "Elon Musk's had more positions on free speech than the Kama Sutra. When it's in his commercial interest, he's the champion of free speech. And when he doesn't like it, he's ready to shut it all down." In a separate incident, Musk voiced his disapproval over the arrest of Telegram's CEO Pavel Durov last month. Durov was detained at a Paris airport after arriving from Azerbaijan, allegedly for failing to regulate issues like drug trafficking, organized crime, terrorism, and fraud on his messaging platform. Musk responded to the news with sarcasm, tweeting, "POV, it's 2030 in Europe, and you're being executed for liking a meme." He later posted a transfer-free Pavel hashtag. Musk also took the opportunity to criticize Meta CEO Mark Zuckerberg, questioning why Zuckerberg hasn't faced legal action for similar accusations. Telegram, which was founded by Durov, had faced a ban in Russia in 2018 for refusing to provide access to its encryption keys. However, the ban was lifted in 2020. In early August, Elon Musk found himself in a public dispute with UK Prime Minister Keir Starmer, following far-right and anti-immigration riots in Britain. The exchange began when Musk responded to a post blaming mass migration and open borders for the unrest by stating, "Civil war is inevitable." The UK government was quick to respond. A spokesperson for Starmer said, "There's no justification for comments like that. What we've seen in this country is organized, violent thuggery that has no place, either on our streets or online. We're talking about a minority of thugs that do not speak for Britain. I think you can tell from that the Prime Minister does not share those sentiments." Musk escalated the tension with another post, using the hashtag #2TIERKEER, a term popularized by Reform UK leader Nigel Farage, implying that far-right groups face more scrutiny from law enforcement than those on the left. He added, "Why aren't all communities protected in Britain? Keir, you're Starmer."
Meanwhile, Danica, the boss of X or Twitter, Elon Musk, is in a brawl with Britain's Prime Minister, Sir Keir Starmer. I must say, he's acting like a weak man trying to be strong during this crisis. Starmer tweeted, "We will not tolerate attacks on mosques or on Muslim communities," to which Musk quite reasonably replied, "Shouldn't you be concerned about attacks on all communities?" Isn't Musk right? Hasn't he put a finger on something that's angering the anti-immigration riders who talk about two-tier policing?
Absolutely, Andrew, because this is what's been bubbling under the surface for so long. This is why the anti-immigration protesters are so angry. And the more that they keep being called racists and bigots, the more that pressure cooker continues to boil. And as we've seen in the last week, it's absolutely exploded. And what we've seen with Keir Starmer's response, as well as the mainstream media in the UK, is this guilt that gets thrust upon white people who are historically perceived to have privilege, and therefore, no, it can't possibly be the fault of ethnic minorities or migrants. It's this perception of unconscious bias. Therefore, it's easy. It's so easy and safe for Keir Starmer to take that safe route and not say we need to look after all communities. It's just all about the migrant communities. And you can't just lump everybody into this far right category when there are so many people who are genuinely concerned about the state of migration, which has clearly failed in the UK, and the state of integration. And that's not just also happening in the UK.
London Metropolitan Police Commissioner Mark Rowley also pushed back against Musk's remarks during an interview with Sky News. He stated, "We have commentators from either end of the political spectrum who like to throw accusations of bias at the police because we stand in the middle. We operate independently under the law without fear or favor. The serious voices who echo those are of more concern to me because the risk is they legitimize the violence that the officers I'm sending out today will face on the streets. They are putting them at risk." In the US, Musk's political views have shifted significantly. While he voted for President Joe Biden in 2020, he has since thrown his support behind former President Donald Trump for the 2024 election. Musk has openly criticized Biden on X, calling him a damp sock puppet and taking aim at his policies on immigration and healthcare. In November 2023, Musk faced backlash after a post where he seemed to blame Jews for mass immigration into the U.S. The White House condemned his remarks as abhorrent, racist, and anti-Semitic.
Well, Elon Musk, who is certainly feeling the heat tonight from advertisers over at X, the site formerly known as Twitter, after he endorsed a tweet that Jewish communities this was the tweet, that Jewish communities push the same hatred they want people to stop using against them. And to that message, Elon Musk said, "You have said the actual truth." Interesting that when you try to open the account from which that tweet came, X hides it with a health warning. The computing giant IBM has since suspended its advertising on the platform after its ads were placed next to similarly anti-Semitic posts. In fact, one of them, we're told, that mentioned Adolf Hitler. X said it does not intentionally place brands next to this kind of content, but we are told other ad buyers are also considering their position. In fact, in the last few hours, we've seen more companies pulling out. Apple and the movie producer Lionsgate, who released their new Hunger Games film earlier today.
Despite these controversies, Musk has cooperated with the U.S. government by providing Starlink satellite access to Ukraine during its war with Russia. However, Kyiv has recently alleged that Russian forces may have accessed Starlink via third-party countries. Most recently, after an alleged second assassination attempt on Trump, an X user asked, Why do they want to kill Donald Trump? Musk replied in a now-deleted post, and no one is even trying to assassinate Biden or Kamala. The remark sparked widespread criticism, including from the White House. Elon Musk is a man of many opinions, and sometimes they're not ones everyone wants to hear, but are they ones we need to hear? Let us know in the comments.